Coffee break with Jimmy. Well, it just never stops, does it? I guess I just heard on the news tonight there's been another shooting over by the Whitehouse. I guess 3 shots were fired off by the Whitehouse off 17th Avenue, I guess. And apparently whoever the shooter was, the Secret Service jumped in and they took him out. I don't know if they took him down or he's dead. I haven't got that much information yet. And another innocent bystander, someone who was just walking down the street there on the sidewalk. I guess they got hit by gunfire. I don't know if it was the Secret Service or this shooter. But just this stuff just continues to happen. And you know where it happens. You know who's doing it. You know the left, the extreme left, if you will. You know They had it at the correspondence dinner. There was a guy there who tried to get in there to kill the president. The president had 2 other assassination attempts, and now some guy was shooting. He didn't have a long rifle. He had a pistol, but he was still shooting at the White House. And you have to think that this is the Democrat Party, the far left of the Democrat Party, the socialist part of the Democrat Party, people who don't like Trump. And, Tommy Tuberville was on earlier today, Senator Tommy Tuberville, and he was saying, there's a lot of people who just don't like Trump for whatever reasons. Well, I can tell you why. He had 37 people who he endorsed for the House and for Senate, different candidates that he endorsed. And so their opposition, and this was the Republican Party now, their opposition to the Republican Party, and I take that back. There could have been a couple Democrats, but I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure it's all Republicans, and Republicans running against other Republicans. And he was 37 for 37 of those that he endorsed. And so maybe there's some other people. Maybe this shooter today has some kind of a beef with the president over this. But this is just keeps going on, and you know who's doing it. This has happened. Well, this happened once during Obama, I think. They shot at the White House, I'm told, and I guess it happened once during Clinton's administration. He was shot at the White House, where someone was just passing by and they shot, and I guess the Secret Service actually took both of those out anyway. But President Reagan had assassination attempt, 1 or 2 anyway, and it seems as though that it's getting worse and worse. I mean, at least 3 assassinations. This would be the 4th assassination attempt on President Trump. The reason, and I just mentioned, the reason they don't like him, and they said everybody has, not everybody, but there are some out there who has this Trump derangement syndrome. They say his numbers are down. I don't believe his numbers are down. The stock market is going crazy. Their investments are going crazy there. The interest rate is up. People are making money. 401ks are up. They're making money on their retirement plans. A lot of things are looking up. Gas prices aren't. Cost of living isn't. Now, that has something to do with Iran and what's going on over there. That's not going to last too much longer. Although his ceasefire has gone on for about 6 weeks now, and it was only supposed to last 2. And other nations there convinced President Trump not to reinstate the excursion, the military bombardment or firepower, whatever. The other countries, UAE, Qatar, and Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, those are countries that border Iran, and they wanted to see if they can work something out with Pakistan and Iran, which really Iran don't have anything to stand on. They really don't. We all want, and I think we all want. Now there are some out there who say, "Well, what did Iran do? We had no provocation to attack them." Well, sure we did. They've been saying since 1979 to kill America, to kill Israel, to kill the infidels. This Shiite Muslim way of thinking. It's not really the whole Muslim spectrum thinking this way. It's pretty much just the Shiites. And the Shiites, Iran is mainly Shiite Muslims, okay? And but they do, the Iranians, I don't know if some of them are Sunnis or some are Shiites, but they want their freedom. They want their freedom back like it was prior to 1979 when they had the Shah of Iran that actually ran that country. It was actually a pretty prosperous country at that time. But the mullahs came in and they took over, and they've been in charge ever since. And the one thing they want is a nuclear weapon so they can fire at Israel and the United States. So that's why President Trump is doing this. And for those of you who don't really understand what's going on, well, maybe you can read up on it and really look into it and see what the problem is. But that right now, when that is over with, the price of gas is going to come back down. And especially, okay, I'm from California, and the governor race is up in the air here. Right now, Chad Hilton is ahead, and this Xavier Becerra or Javier Becerra, I don't know if they say Xavier or Javier, but they say the X in his name means experience. Well, this guy's got experience of the the Biden administration. That's where his experience lies. He's had a couple of offices, a couple of appointments here, I guess. I don't know off the top of my head in the state of California whether he was a congressman or a senator for the state senator, or he worked at the state office. I'm not too sure. But I know he was in the Biden administration and an assistant district attorney, I think. I'm not too sure, but he was, that's a experience, says the X means experience. Well, he has experience in a failed administration. A failed administration. Do we really want to do that again in California? Do we really want to get him in? Eric Swalwell, when they pulled him out because of the accusations, the malicious accusation, that he said that he was going after women and making propositions. I don't know that he actually ever raped anybody. He may have. There's a lot of accusations out there. Well, enough to where he had to pull out of the governor's race. Then he had to resign from Congress. But he was a front runner. Well, they pulled him out of there. That left Katie Porter, but nobody really liked Katie Porter. And this Tom Steyer, that they're not really backing him. He just got so much money. He's just throwing so much money at this election. And so they're trying to pull up this Javier Becerra, or Xavier Becerra. I don't know how you pronounce that, or he pronounces one way, it's spelled another. Anyway, we don't need the same old thing here in California. We need a change. And those of you Democrats who feel that way, and I know a lot of you do, because we have been going downhill for 20, 30 years. We've been Democrat run. We need to make a change. Elect Steve Hilton, elect Chad Bianco, get those two, whatever one. I hope they win the midterms here, or they have to. They all run against the Democrats and Republicans. The primary is all of them combined, and the two top vote getters get to run against one another. Hopefully, it's Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton. But this Xavier Becerra is gaining some ground because now they got him up in the front, and they're really pushing him. And they say he's got experience. He's got experience from a failed administration. So we're going to talk about more about that later. But we can't vote him in. We need Steve Hilton. I think that's who, and of course Donald Trump, the president, endorses him. And he was 37 for 37. Let's see if he can win this endorsement also. But the reason Donald Trump, a lot of people don't like him, and it's coming from the top of the Democratic Party. We're talking Nancy Pelosi and all her cohorts. They're saying, well, he's getting rid of their cash cow. He's making sure they're not ripping us off anymore. He's been saying that for years. And now we find all this fraud in Minnesota. We find fraud in California. We find fraud in Maine. All these different states. And now, of course, these are Democrat states where this fraud exists. But fraud, don't make no mistake about it, fraud exists in the Republican states too. But this is happening now because of the president we have and his administration and what they're finding out and what they're digging up. This didn't happen with Biden. this didn't happen in Obama's administration. So that's why Trump is getting rid of their cash cow. They can't line their pockets anymore. And and this country is doing so much better. Even though right now with this Iranian thing, this is going to be over with here before you know it. And just trust me on this. It will be over before you know it. I think they ought to put boots on the ground and train some of these Iranians how to fight for their own freedom, for their own country, because they'll appreciate it that much more. But anyway, that's the whole idea. So it happened again. I don't know all the ins and outs of what happened here. 3 shots were fired outside the White House. This just happened within the last hour, and they just keep doing this. This violence has got to stop. It's not okay. It's not okay to do that. We got a bunch of loose cannons, guys that just they don't have any brains, and they just maybe want to get their 15 minutes of fame, whatever you want to call it. But it's got to stop. This violence has got to stop. So anyhow, this is Coffee Break with Jimmy. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell so next time I'm on. And please comment on this. Tell me what you think, okay? We'll see you next time on Coffee Break with Jimmy. Thanks.